What are you doing, beloved?
Attention, attention, my black brothers. What I want y'all to do right now is take out the do-rag, the silky, tie it down. I want to see the waves glistening. If you got nappy hair, pick it. Don't let nobody discourage you.
Ariel.
Black boy, black boy.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy, Lord Davry.
And I'm Derwin King.
And welcome back to another episode of That Black Boy Joy, where we create a space where black boys can be themselves and so much more.
Woo!
What is up, everybody? How are you doing, Devin?
I'm doing wonderfully, actually. I have been at my mother's home in the pool swimming before this, actually. So I'm drying now.
Oh, child. No, I was like being very lazy watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Shout out to RuPaul's Drag Race and Canadian Drag Race and Legendary. So I was watching all of that before we got started. But today we have an amazing guest with us on the show.
We do.
We have an actor slash voice actor slash child actor, and he has his own company as well.
Yes.
So today we have Gary Leroy Gray in the building with us today.
Woo-hoo. He'll be joining us a little later.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and go with our Black Boy Joy Spotlight. So this week's Black Boy Joy Spotlight is Mr. Michael Ward and Mr. Joshua Henry Jenkins, which are the creators of Black, Gay, and Stuck at Home series. So when I talked to Joshua, I asked him what sort of created, and just so you guys know, this is like a weekly presentation of Black queer films created by Black queer people. So when I asked Joshua what the inspiration was or how he came about creating it, he said that his friend Michael had initially posted on Facebook that he wanted to watch Patrick Ian Polk's first movie, Punks, with a few people. Said that he saw it and was really excited because Joshua had a copy of the film and had just posted about it online. So he thought it would be a great idea and messaged him that they should do a virtual screening. So they did that first screening, and apparently 500 people registered for the first one. I know, right? And I remember getting the notification for that because Joshua and I are friends.
Yeah.
And apparently they've been doing it ever since. So they've shown Punks by Patrick Ian Polk, Dirty Laundry by Maurice Jamal, Noah's Ark Jumping the Broom by Patrick Ian Polk, which our guest today was in.
Yes!
Brother to Brother by Rodney Evans, Looking for Langston by Isaac Julian, Tongues Untied by Marlon Riggs, one of my favorites, and Paris is Burning, the most famous, by Jenny Livingston. So shout out to those guys for giving us some entertainment in this awful quarantine, and then also for just like focusing on representation with it. It's been truly successful. So shout out to you, Josh and Michael. You can follow Michael Ward at Michael, Michael X Ward on Twitter. And then Joshua Henry Jenkins will be at Josh Jinks. That's JoshJenks on Twitter as well.
Have you saw what name out of all those shows? I mean, movies. What have you saw?
I've seen Dirty Laundry, Noah's Ark, Tongues Untied, and Paris is Burning. I have not seen Brother to Brother or Looking for Langston, but I wanted to see Looking for Langston.
Yeah, I've seen Punks, I've seen Noah's Ark, I've seen Looking for Langston, and Paris is Burning as well. I think Brother to Brother has the guy that plays Falcon in the Avengers movie, Anthony Mack.
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, I think he's in that. So I need to check that out.
I've seen the title card for it. Like I've seen the promo pic, but I've just never watched it. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. There's probably some stupid reason I decided not to watch it, but I didn't.
All right. So shout out to our Black Boy Joy Spotlights, and we'll be back with our guest, Gary Gray.
Hi guys, we're back with our very, very special guest, Mr. Gary Leroy Gray. Hey. You don't mind that people put the Leroy in there, do you? I know you have that Gary L everywhere else.
That's totally fine.
So, you know what? First of all, I want to say that you have one of the most impressive recipes I've ever seen. Literally, I was going through it the other day and found out that you had started when you were, 3 years old?
Yes.
And that you were modeling before you ended up on the Cosby Show, which was like completely crazy
Correct.
to me. And then going through the number of 90s Black sitcoms that you were on, which was truly amazing to me as well. I was actually watching, I just randomly decided to go back and watch Living Single from the first season. And I got to like episode 4 or 5, and I was like, oh, shoot.
Right.
There.
Yep.
It's like, this is truly incredible. And to see, you know, your career stretch from that time into now has been truly remarkable. So I hope you are aware of how remarkable it is.
Yes.
Definitely. I definitely am. I mean, just as far as being in it as long as I have, that alone is always a testament because, you kind of have people that you grow up with it, with, and, you see them kind of like, sometimes like fall by the wayside or they're not doing it anymore or they've gone on to other career ventures. And, here's me still plugging away. So I'm thankful that I'm still able to do it for sure.
I have a question. So which set did you have like the most fun on as a child? Like out of all the shows that you were part of, is there one fun, like the atmosphere just was like continuously like live or just like really felt like kid friendly?
You specifically as a child? Cause
Yeah.
like that, yeah, okay. I would probably say it would probably have to be the Cosby Show, to be honest. It would probably have to be the Cosby Show. That set was just a big, huge family, and it was one of those things where Christmas, Halloween, all those holidays that you spend with people or with family, we spent together. Not just a cast party, but it was more so like we were actually like planning an actual get together with family, and these are people that were just included. Yes, this is my cast and these are my coworkers, but we treat each other like family. So that was really fun as a child to be a part of, because everything was fun on set, and they knew that was a set that was very aware that they had children there. A lot of sets are not, and it's like almost where it's like everybody's just working and there are some children, It's like this set was very aware that there were kids involved, and not only involved, but involved every day in the process, and, they kept that in mind. So when things came about that could include children, it almost always certainly did, and in a great way. So that set was probably number one. And I don't know, I've done so many, it's odd. I've done so many commercials as a child that were super fun. And even though they're only for that one day, or, the 2-day shoot or whatever, it was really, really memorable. I did like a Troll Doll commercial that was really, anything that I got to play with toys or eat food, I was all for it. So.
Speaking of commercials, I know that you did one with Beyonce. So one of the things I wanted our listeners to know is that you have worked with both Noel's sisters.
I did. I worked with Beyonce before I worked with Solange. We did that Pepsi commercial. I think I was 16 or 17. And maybe I think a year or two later, I booked Bring It On. So it was really funny because on the set, Beyonce was telling me a lot about her sister and like low key trying to like set us up. She was like,
Love that for you.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's not the same age. I close to the same age too.
Right. Clearly nothing happened. No, it was really cool to have that on set. And then after be on set with Solange, and she'd be like, oh my goodness, you definitely did a commercial with my sister. And then Beyonce definitely visited one day, and it was
wow.
Really cool. So it was really cool to see that. But yeah, no, I have worked with both.
Well, we are a Stan account over here at this podcast. We love the No sisters.
They are both absolutely amazing. Solange is like, if you've ever met a celebrity and wanted to feel like you've always known them, she's a good person to start with, because it's like, oh yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and you're like, wait a minute, why am I talking like, we've done this before, and that is definitely. Beyonce also very sweet, like almost to the point where it's like, are you a robot? Like you are so sweet. Like, how is it like, pre-made responses or something? And I mean, it was just literally, we had a really bad, like not bad shoot, but complicated shoot for that Pepsi. So we were on set for 21 hours, and which is an insanely long time to be on set. And so, It was a 21-hour shoot, and she was just, to be, Beyonce and to be on set waiting around because it wasn't her fault,
Yeah.
and so be waiting around and, 21 hours sitting there with everyone, and not a complaint out of her, not a peep, she took it like a champ. So it was
perfection
to be on set. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah.
So one of the things we usually ask all of our guests is, what does Black Boy Joy mean to you?
Wow. I think Black Boy Joy has taken a different meaning to me over the last, I would say, maybe 2-3 years, with everything that's been really at the forefront of media these days. I used to feel like Black Boy Joy was such a surface, sort of thing where it was like, let's show Black boys and Black men, happy, because we don't see that often, and it was as simple as just wanting to see smiles, because we're so taught to have that guarded aspect of us when we're either photographed or videoed, and we're supposed to show this semblance of strength. And so Black Boy Joy didn't quite fit the mold of that. And so, but over the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, man, I feel like Black Boy Joy is just existing without persecution now. And it's like, can we find a time where we're really enjoying life or just enjoying being alive, And so right now, Black Boy Joy for me is just simply being able to protect and be protected by Black men, and just being able to hold each other up and be accountable for each other. And yeah, it's just taking on a deep meaning, and to see projects that embody that, aka you guys, and try to really push a message forward of, and like I said, protection and making sure that everybody is mentally, emotionally, okay.
Yeah.
It's not about pictures and videos anymore, and showing that sort of surface level message, I guess you could say. Yeah, stuff like this to me is great and really shows what that sort of movement can be and be about, because people need to see, media needs to see what Black Boy Joy, really is, and what it really can be. And it's not just a hashtag with some guys taking pictures with flowers in their hair just to break the gender norm. It's not.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Because the joy.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, joy just comes in many forms, and what that interpretation looks like to you can be different than those pictures of flowers.
Yeah.
Reimagining that. So, what has brought you joy today? Speaking of Black Boy Joy.
Wow.
Or this week. Let's go today or this week.
This week. I saw my close friends more than I have in the past weeks with COVID happening. I saw them I think 3 times within the last couple of days. And so it was nice to really kind of, really catch up and kind of feel like things we can conform to this. We can make this work as friends, because I kind of live far from my friends. Yeah. So, it was really nice to be like, okay, it's possible. We can make this work with this sort of wedge between, us and distance and, and time and effort and space. But we can kind of make this work with this. And that was really cool to feel, that I could count on my brothers to to be around even with all the stuff going on, so that's cool. And oh man, I just kind of mapped out a new painting, so I'm probably going to be starting that either today or tomorrow. So that's probably on my list of cool things for this week. So yay, art.
I saw you doing that. Shout out to that.
Yes.
I love multiple art forms.
Yes.
How long have you been painting?
I've been painting for all my life. I would say seriously though, last 2 years.
Okay.
I got into a bad car accident in 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2017. And totaled my car, and it was I was bedridden, for a while, and it came as an expressive thing to do while I was stuck in my room and couldn't really go anywhere and do much. I picked up a canvas and bought an easel. I was just like, well, might as well do something. And I was just churning out things and started to, learn things about painting and learning how to shade and shadow and all that kind of thing. And people started taking notice. And I eventually got noticed by a designer in London by the name, who used to go by the name of 50 Foot Drop, but now the company goes by Rareware. And they noticed my art and they were like, you know what, we would love to do a collaboration. And I stuck my art on some clothes, and we sold jackets and shirts with my art on it was it last year? Last year. It was last year. Wow, this year, it's been like so long. Jeez. Wow. Yeah, last September we sold, I entered into the fashion world and sold my art on jackets and t-shirts, and it was such a crazy whirlwind. Like, I'd never expected to do something like that. And once that dropped, we crashed the site in like 3 hours, and the traffic on the site. So that was really cool. I had to add server space, and then and we sold out. And it was just really cool to have another avenue that you didn't expect, and you really kind of were like, this is a hobby. This is just something for me to do to get out my expressive nature, and it turned into not only a business but something that is a consistent form of expression for you, not just a hobby.
During one of your low times, you're able to like create and make some money.
Right.
That's the Renaissance, man.
And with this, it's like, it's different because with every other thing in my life, or every other thing that I've tackled career-wise, it's very clear the monetary gain you can have from it. But with this, I was like, there's no way I expect for people to buy my paintings. Like, what? I felt in my head, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I always feel like I'm just painting a smiley face on there. Like, look, this is what I did. And people are like, that's great. And I'm like, no, it's not. It sucks, please. But like,
somebody will like it.
Right, exactly. But now, that people are offering to buy it, it's like, well, I guess I can't argue with it. So,
that's good. You're a designer.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you, especially since when I was watching the episode of Living Single, even at an early age, I thought you were really talented, and it was amazing to see you interact with those characters. So I first wanted to know if there was a process for getting you to do that, or if it was something that just came naturally to you, and then also if you had any difficulty, or if it was really, really easy for you to learn memorization.
Yeah, I think it was just a natural thing. I was like a problem child in the best way. I could read and write by age 3 fluently. And so I was reading everything in the house and driving my parents crazy. And so they were like, we have to do something with this child. Like, we can't like continue to keep him here. And they found there's a place in Chicago that, was able to take me when it came to pre-K and kindergarten that early. And so I started school like right away. And I think it was the interaction that I was able to get by starting school so early, and being able to interact with children and adults alike, and able to speak with them on their level. And so once I got to set, it was like, oh, now I get to, the things that I was doing for real as me, I get to do it as other people. Oh, great. Like, I didn't care. So like, I was just basically, it was like a day at school for me, and that's how I took it. It was just all natural. And then memorization wise, luckily back then, kids' roles weren't as intensive as I feel that they are now. And so I think that it wasn't difficult. It may seem like a lot, but it wasn't difficult to like memorize. It's like, Grandpa, where are you?
Got it. Like, first try. Got it.
As much as I want to like sit here and act like it was a little bit difficult, like, no, I mean, really, it's like, so it was cool. But once I got older, it definitely was a thing. And I think really what's cool about, acting and memorization is you start to learn that the better it is when it comes to the conversation, like as far as how it's written, the easier it is to memorize. And luckily, I've worked with great writers that have had written things like conversation, to me. So it's very easy to go with another actor and actress and just flow into the scene because it's like conversation. And when it's like that, it's very easy to memorize.
Yeah.
So.
I have a question. So, as like when you're a child like actor and trying to have those like those conversation like type of scripts, do you have a little bit of control in saying like, okay, I would prefer to like say this line like different, or like is it like no, we're sticking to that with that what I have written down?
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. Every writer is different. Every set is different. And as an actor, I would implore people who are, especially starting out, to know, your set well and read your set well. Don't just go offering suggestions because it happened well on the last gig. Don't do that. Really just try to fill it out in rehearsals and see who's, available for that kind of constructive criticism and or changing of their creation. This is their baby. So I always try to tell people who are just starting out, like, be mindful of that, because you don't want people to stomp all over the stuff that you just did. And if it works out better, then that's amazing and that's great. But we want to make sure that their stuff is kept intact. But yeah, I don't know. It's been what was I forgot, where was the question going? I know we were talking about
wherever it go.
Suggestion stuff. Right. Yeah, I don't know. It just varies. I think that the ones that I've been able to do that the most with have been drama. And that's surprising because you would think it would be comedy because of the improv nature of that.
Yeah.
But I think that with drama, a lot of writers are not exactly sure how this conversation is going to go. They write it with the notion and then expect the actors to make it more natural to bring that drama out. And I think a lot of times those writers are a lot more susceptible to that kind of criticism and or suggestion, because they're trying to make sure that drama is put on screen to the T. And then comedy is one of those things where, the writer could be a little bit, big in his pants a little bit. He's saying, I'm the funniest person, in Hollywood right now. So all of your suggestions are not funny. It could go that way, and so you would think that maybe I could suggest a little something here. It might not go the way that you think, because who knows how that writer is going to be.
Right.
So it really does vary. I try to keep it to a minimum as much as I can, unless it's something that it's like, man, if I was watching this, it would take me out of the scene, because I'm a consumer first.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, if I'm watching this, would I be looking at me going, nope, I wouldn't say that. So that's how I always do it.
Do you find it easier for smaller projects at all?
To do that? Honestly, no.
Okay.
Honestly, no. The smaller the project, usually the closer to the chest it is to the creator.
Right.
And so they are like, do not change nothing about my baby. Like, you better not touch it. So that one, I really try to not, do too much. It's only in rehearsals. Like if I'm in rehearsals and I can kind of get from there that we can kind of switch some stuff up, then I'll do it. But
yeah,
it's not the case. Yep.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because I do like local stage shows, and I've found it like it's totally different in my experiences on stage,
Okay.
depending on how long the person, I guess, has been stage writing. Because I'm like, this doesn't feel like, because the way I'm delivering it doesn't sound right, and then I'm like, it's because the line isn't perfect.
And if it makes you uncomfortable as an actor, then that affects your performance. So
Right.
you want to make sure that it does feel comfortable in some way, but it also is that fine line with, does it change the narrative in any way to the writer? It's that fine line. You got to tiptoe around it no matter what.
So I know that you've talked about your education experience being pretty standard, even for being on camera. But I'm curious, what does like an on-set education look like though? Like I understand that you still had to do school, but I imagine since it's not directly in a classroom, or is it?
Again, sets vary. For instance, Even Stevens, we had a full schoolhouse pretty much, you know, and we went to class. We had a teacher, and the room was set up like a normal classroom, you know. And then you have sets where it's like, we have a teacher, find a corner, and make sure you do your work, okay? You know, you got. So it varies, and you know, SAG has been really good at cracking down on that, making sure it's a little bit more uniform these days. But I know me growing up, you know, I had the Wild West experience when they were still trying to figure out how to work all those kind of laws into working with children. You know what I mean? I started working when the Coogan law was implemented, you know, and that's like a huge staple in the business nowadays. And so yeah, school stuff now is very different. You know, you have, especially now with technology, you know, they have the opportunity to just email things. You know, they don't even have to have a schoolroom if they don't want to, pretty much. But yeah, for me, like I said, even Stevens, we were in the classroom. You know, you have a mandatory set amount of time that you have to do classwork mandated by SAG. And so I believe it was 3 hours a day. You had to be in school. And it wasn't bad. You know, it wasn't bad. It seems like a lot, but when your call time is 6 a.m., you know, you go, boom, especially when you're a guy, your hair and makeup's easy. You go get in the chair, you get in the school, you do an hour and a half of school. You're waiting around for the first shot anyway for an hour and a half for them to set up camera and stuff. So you get that first hour and a half knocked out, and then by the next thing you know, by lunch, you're done with school. So it's super easy. You know, the hardest thing is that everybody is going to separate schools, or if they're homeschooled or whatever, doing separate things in the same classroom.
Right.
You know, with people that you're used to goofing around with. So like, imagine me and Shia, you know, in a classroom. It did not go well.
I don't imagine it was easy to keep a straight face.
Yeah. So like literally we were just all over the place. So it can go well, and you can literally get your work done and be like nothing ever is, you know, different about being on set versus school. Or it could have the experience that me and Shia had, where we're just like literally we would do our schoolwork, and I think there was not a wall occupied in our schoolhouse that we did not draw on or paint. Like we covered like it was vandalism to the highest degree. It was
graffiti.
Like, it was beautiful. It was
graffiti.
Gorgeous. Artistes. But yeah, and it was so funny because they were like the removable panel walls. So somewhere Disney has Basquiat level, you know, like walls.
Not Basquiat.
And they should be selling. I'm just saying, you know, I mean,
come on,
great stuff on there. So yeah. Anyway, and Shia, being Shia, also used to write his freestyles, his raps on there. And I don't know if everybody knows, but like, you know, Shia, he can rap. He can actually rap. And so you know, it's funny because I tell people all the time, when Shia got first found out that he could rap, it was after he was. And so when people really started finding out, I'm like, y'all don't even know. Like, and look at those walls. Like, it's like a gold mine of like Shia's early work. So, you know, somebody could just take that and run with it and sell it. It would go for God knows who, God knows what on eBay. But
and
like a very brilliant mind.
Yeah. And
I tell people even then, and everybody always asks me, you know, how was it working with him? And he is very much one of the people that I reserve the word genius for. And he can, you know, on the outside looking in, he seems like, you know, whatever, and everybody has all those kind of notions about him as far as what he does. And I tell people all the time, one thing that I first noticed about him when all that stuff was going down, he's bored. He's bored. He was like that on set. He was like that on Even Stevens. Fun fact, a lot of people don't know, a lot of the scripts, you come to, you know, you'd have your normal dialogue of all the characters listed. It would get to Shia's thing. It would say Lewis, and it would be blank. And he was improvising, you know, 70% of that stuff. And even then, and I'm 4, and we're like 6 months apart in age. So I'm like 14, like sitting there, like looking at you are insane. Like, you are actually insane. Like, and I mean, and it just comes so easily. And I think that was the thing, is that I've seen that happen before. People who were afforded the opportunity to do improv and stuff like that. Especially, you know, I grew up in all that era you know,
Yeah.
where most of our, you know, we had sketch shows where that was to find a child actor that could do that. Oh, that was easy. But to find that child actor where, you know, even on the set of All That, those were pre-made scenarios that, you know, you were presented with, and then you got to do over and over and over and over again. And this guy, it was like a different show every time he read the script, because something else would come out of his mouth. And then it was like, but that's good too. That's
Yeah.
genius too, you know. So yeah, I will always commend him for his ability. There's never a doubt in my mind that he is not one of the most talented that we have right now. It's just up to Hollywood to give him the platform to show it and stop making him try to do Transformers.
And for clarity, were you born and raised in Chicago?
Yes, I was born and raised in Chicago. I split time, you know, with acting, you know, obviously doing Cosby Show. I was in New York for those years. Once I finished the Cosby Show, I moved back to Chicago, and I was there. You know, I would be there for 6 months and then fly out to LA for 3, you know, and then fly back. And I did that for the longest. I definitely attended all of my elementary school out there, and then when I got to high school, I was splitting time pretty much. So, you know, I always tell people I was really equal time. You know, I always say, like, I'm equal parts Chicago, I'm equal parts LA. You know, I know LA as much as I know Chicago. However, I'm definitely more of a Chicago person. I'm definitely more of a Chicago man. I just know, just because I've been here, you know. But if I had to choose, definitely Chicago.
Yeah, and do you go back often? Like, do you go back often now? Okay.
I do. Yes, I do. I still, you know, I still have a place out there. So it's one of the, I definitely go back. I definitely try to get back as often as I can.
Yeah.
But you know, with work and everything, I try to make it as much as like 3 times a year if I can help it. So, yep.
I have a personal question for you. So knowing that you have been acting for as long as you have, and easy facial recognition, has that interrupted or helped your dating life?
Oh, man. That is, that's an even 50-50 answer, to be honest. I've had so many experiences where it helps, you know, and and it helps in a way that you may not think, where it's like, wow, I can weed this out easily now. So it's like, because I do have a recognizable face, now it makes it easier for me to say, are you there for me or not? You know, and I've learned over the years the signs and things to look for, you know, in those aspects. But on the other side, you know, I definitely would say that it it can be a negative, you know, it can be a true negative, because other people are actors. Other people can put a facade up and say, oh no, it doesn't matter, and oh no, this is not something that I'm looking at, and you always have that in the back of your mind, you know. So there's that. But then again, you know, there's times where it really has been on the complete positive side, and it helps because I've dated people who are in my industry, and it's, wow, you know, you can, you know, if I wasn't an actor, I wouldn't be afforded the opportunity to date someone who was in my field and share those experiences, share those opportunities, and have those sort of interactions where this solely revolves around the fact that we are both, you know, in the entertainment industry. And have that sort of connection. It does definitely leak into a positive for sure at times. So it can benefit. So yeah, it's a 50-50 ball. It all depends on whoever the other person is, to be honest. It's up to them to make it a benefit or a negative. At that.
Okay. Yep. So we know you've dabbled in voice acting as well. So I knew you from AJ, from the Fairly Odd Parents. I was like, oh shit, oh crap. So and also Rocket Power. So what is your preference? Do you prefer voice acting or actually acting in person?
Oh, man, that's tough. You know, voice acting affords you some really cool cool things, you know, just really cool. Like it's no other word for it but cool.
Yeah.
You know, to have my friends come to me and say, I literally came home, put down my book bag, turned on the television, and watched you, you know, and then met you like years later in high school. Like that's something that can never be replaced, and honestly can't really be duplicated by on-camera acting, because we don't really we don't have the same connection with a lot of on-camera things that we did with things that are voiceover. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and with voiceover, I'm even including video games into that, because you really honestly have the same sort of interactions with video games that you have with cartoons.
Yep.
And then film and TV are in another sort of box, in my opinion. Video games and cartoons gave us something, especially as children, that film and TV just never was really able to give us, and that was that form of interaction. Even though
Yeah.
cartoons didn't have that level of interaction that video games did, somehow they were able to reach us because they spoke our language a little bit more. So
Mm-hmm.
that action was largely exploited with shows like Sesame Street, where they had a lot of like call and response stuff. You had
Mm-hmm.
cartoons who were, you know, breaking the fourth wall with kids and saying like, "Oh my goodness, look at Timmy, and
Yeah.
isn't this funny?" That alone, you know, puts us in a different spot and puts it in a different space in our hearts, you know, where it's like, man, I love that. And so doing these things and seeing how people react to those things, man, it's cool to be in video games, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
for people to be like, oh my God, like I put 100 hours in Fallout 4, and I literally, you're the doctor, and I went to you all the time, and you know, to have that, and for me to be again a consumer and know when I have a video game that I've played, you know, for hours on end, or a cartoon that I literally have seen this episode 20 times, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You know, it's my favorite episode of this cartoon. We all have that, you
Yeah.
know, and so and on the other side of the coin, film and TV. I love doing film and TV because of the expressiveness that I've been awarded, and to be able to dive into characters that are so unlike me, and to really be a beacon for other people, where it's like, man, this character, if I watched it, wouldn't really resonate with me, but it changes your life in a way, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And doing when I did Noah's Ark jumping the broom, so many fans, you know, so many fans, mail, email, you know, everything, social media stuff, just hitting me up and saying this role literally, you know, allowed me to come out to my parents, or changed my life, allowed me to sit my best friends down and tell them where I was at in life. And, you know, all that stuff is to say that, like, I filmed a movie for a couple of weeks and changed the course of someone's life. Like,
Mm.
can't beat that either, you know.
Yeah.
So they each have their weights. Right now, I would say I'm really into voiceover. I kind of have been in my secluded hermit thing, you know, these last couple of years with me, and not on you know a tip where it's like I'm purposely pushing the public away, but I just really have realized, like, man, I've been out there for a long time, you know, and like it's nice to be like, people go, hey, where you been, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been on these last couple of years, but it's about to change, because I actually have been still working, and I have, you know, a big project coming that I'm like really geeked for, and so it's like I know now that I won't be able to have this secluded time much longer, so I
Yeah.
might enjoy
Good
it.
though.
I'm really liking, right? I'm really liking voiceover right now, because it still affords me the opportunity to go into work with my sweatpants on and my pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always, yeah, when I watch people do voice acting, I see a lot of creativity and animation behind the scenes with the character, because you have to do a lot to make this person become like larger than life. So I always watch that. I'm always like, that looks like that is so much fun to just be as over the top behind, like in like a little cubicle trial and error, like,
Right.
yeah, versus like, you know, in person, you're like, like I always see, I feel like voice acting, just it's the sky is the limit with the creativity, because you have to be over the top and as animated as possible to make like a AJ
The-
crash and die.
Right. The funny thing is that you're so right in that, and that the difference between like an on-camera set, like I'll be on an on-camera set, and the director will constantly tell you how to tone it down, and you're like,
Mhm.
make it a little more subtle, and yet in the booth, Butch is, we're doing Fairly Odd Parents, and Butch is like, scream to the point where I might have to just end the session, where your whole voice box just falls out of your butt, like just
Yeah.
give me that script, like literally,
Oh,
it was like
wow.
as much over the top as you can get. And so you are completely right in that aspect, where I show up to work with voiceover and I just don't know what I'm going to do. A lot of times voiceover will also do little cameo roles that, you'll have like a one or two lines that you'll be doing, and they're like, we don't want to hold auditions for this role when we have
Yeah.
these other voice actors that are here. Hey, just change your voice and just be this character real quick and do it. And you're walking to work, and like I, AJ and like Butch will be like, hey, you're a dog today. Okay, cool. Thanks. And it's like, all right, awesome. All right, and so,
Yeah.
there's these roles like, through Fairly Odd Parents or through Rocket Power, where, all of us are just playing these little bit characters. You just never know where you're going to walk into work and do something else,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, so going into the conversation of what I'm personally have this thing about, like, what is happening in the media right now. We're seeing a lot of voice actors that are white that have voiced Black characters start to denounce, their roles with those characters. So I wanted to know your thoughts and your feelings about what we are seeing in voice acting right now, especially with the movements going on.
Right. I will say that I called this, by the way. Years and years and years ago, I actually did a panel at Santa Monica College, and I don't know if that was filmed or not, but I was like, I have evidence, proof that I called it. Here's the thing. What we have now is all cool. It's great that these actors and actresses are coming to these conclusions in their life right now, and saying that they are going to stand for something, sure. And I applaud that, and I appreciate that. There's that. There's the positive side. There's the positive side. However, the complete iceberg under the water aspect that we have here, and that's what I've been trying to tell people all these years, is that what you're seeing right now is that really pretty, beautiful glacier on the surface that you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. But under there is how we view racism, how we think people. This is how racism is. It doesn't just happen with law enforcement. That iceberg covers every single career across the board that you could ever imagine, down to the smallest bit job of a person who's just starting out doing a barista job at Starbucks, to the highest person in entertainment. It's the board. And that iceberg doesn't just disappear because it's entertainment, because we are the make-believe people, and because it's all nice and glitz and glamour and pretty. It's even bigger down under the surface. And so for me, I never really wanted it to happen this way. And I explained that by saying that I don't think that this movement is good to be married to handouts, in a sense. And handouts are being disguised as justice, and being disguised as equality, and being disguised as diversity. And what I made people notice was, this has been in our faces for longer than this.
Absolutely.
When we can date back to Michael Clark Duncan being given the role of Kingpin in the movie Daredevil. That movie was set to fail from jump. The execs knew it, the writers knew it, everybody. It was a laughingstock as the movie dropped its preview. And it's just so funny, and just so happens to show that, wow, let's change this major character, and the time that we do this is when we feel like it's gonna fail. And boom, then it happened. Then we have another example, Fantastic Four. We're gonna reboot Fantastic Four. It's gonna be great. We had
Michael B. Jordan.
And now we're gonna throw the hottest Black actor we could ever imagine into this role. It's gonna be successful because it's Michael B. Of course, it's Michael B. Jordan, right? But we know it's gonna fail. We know it's trash. The director Josh Trank comes out in an interview after the movie drops and says, "I didn't even want to make this movie." Wow, really?
Yeah, I heard that.
that's what we get. That's what we get is the roles where it's like, let's experiment, you know? And I was so elated to see Black Panther because it's like, wow, finally, there's not an excuse. This isn't an excuse movie. This is not a movie of let's throw this out there because we need proper representation. It was let's make Black Panther, and it was successful and it did well because of that, and it's great. But we can't Black Panther everything because you want to exploit Black voices and Black faces to make money for your project. That is what is happening now. And I actually on my podcast had an episode where I felt for Haley of Chloe and Haley, who they have casted as the new Little Mermaid. And I felt for her because that day I was just really sad. You know, it was such a great announcement because she fits the role so perfectly. But I was so sad because I was like, I don't want this. And people were like all up in arms because I had said it on Twitter, and people took it out of context as me just not wanting her in the role. But, you know, obviously, upon further explanation, it was just, I don't want what comes with her being in this role. Because, of course, we're going to support it. We're going to go and say, you know, this should be now the Little Mermaid. That, you know, forget the animated one. We want this. This is now the new one. We're going to be that gung-ho about it. But in the end, now, on a role that should have been seen as this is her thing, this is her breakout thing. This is something that should be so special to you. You are a Disney princess. Now has to be also coupled with the 50% that never want to see someone, you know, that is even close to the pigment of her skin, even in the film, let alone be Ariel, where you have no place in this movie about mythical creatures. And so why do you think we always do Lord of the Rings, no Black people? Why do you always think we do this space movie, no Black people? You know, we got to fight for Black stories in Star Wars, even when you put a Black face to sell the movie. We still 3 movies later are now upset. The actor who you got to play that role is upset because of how you flipped it on people and said, yeah, you're going to get a Black Jedi. Oh, it's like, and that's what we're doing. You know, and people don't realize that it's a lot bigger than just putting Black faces in these roles, and we're so excited. And another role, Zendaya for Mary Jane, Spider-Man. You know, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm a Spider-Man geek, like seriously. So when I heard that, it was the same reaction. I was like, no, because I knew what these movies were. This particular set, Spider-Man has been rebooted how many times?
4.
Can y'all count? Okay,
4.
Exactly.
Way too many.
So now you give us this on the reboot where you're saying this is all we got. This was literally, and I bring this to people's attention, and it really makes people think about this differently. This was the bargain sale Spider-Mans and the Mary Jane that you gave her this role.
The cheap version.
This was the Spider-Man that you literally sold off the rights to.
Yeah.
You literally had to go. You literally were fighting. This was as if me fighting for a swap. I'm going to the swap meet and I'm getting the cheapest gift I can imagine, and I'm fighting to give it to my girl. Like, here, take this.
Yeah.
Please, like this. And it's like, but we just saw what you just did. This is literally like your last ditch effort. This is your attempt to make this cool, to make this, and then you see what they do. They put all the kids in there, so all the kids will like it. Now Spider-Man has like 18,000 friends. I'm like, I never read this Spider-Man. I knew that friends. So I was like, what happened? But yeah, you know, it's just you look at this and the patterns are there. And right now, as a voiceover actor, stepping off of roles that you feel that, you know, oh, I shouldn't play anymore, but you played this for 20 years, 15 years. You know, I looked at the guy who stepped down Cleveland recently, and it's like, you've been doing this. I appreciate it.
You got your money.
But you've been doing this for 15 years, and so, you know, when you have these roles that are, you know, doing this again, it's great. But I think that what it's going to cause now is a gatekeeping aspect for Black actors in voiceover. it's tough enough for me to get, roles because I'm Black.
Yeah.
But now you have the added aspect of people saying, oh no, remember you said that we can't, mix these races. So I can't have you audition for this white character anymore, Gary, because even though you were used to doing that, I mean, you want to play Black roles, don't you? So let's just make sure. And we all know that how many Black roles are there really in voiceover for Black people? How many times have you seen a Black character in a cartoon? You can probably count them on two hands.
And it's played by the same person. And it's played by Cree Summer. Shout out to Cree Summer. But
love her.
Exactly. I love Cree. But when you look at that and you say, wow, is this going to really do some good, or is this going to do some really long-term damage for people down the line? And I told myself that really the only way to combat this is for Black creators now. This is it. There is no, I don't know if my idea can work. There is no, I need to work on this. I need to find the right person. Oh, I just need to get in the right room. Screw that.
Yeah.
Throw your script onto the 405, watch it blow when you win, and hope for the best. That's where we're at, because more than ever, we need Black characters, Black voices, Black creators, because now with this whole, let me step down and make sure I'm playing my role to my true to ethnicity or, or true to race that I want to do, then guess what? It's gonna be the Wild West out here very soon. And you're gonna have creators who are completely shunned. People are gonna start losing their jobs. Why? Oh, because you were the Black writer. You were the voice that gave us the Black voice. And we don't really need that. So you guys want to have Black shows, well, go create your Black show. And now, of course, it's already hard for us to get our content in the door. So what do you think is gonna happen now? We have to create Black shows. We have to create fully realized Black casts. And that is going to be very difficult, because now it's going to be like trying to sell the 90s now in the 2020s. Though they want to profit off of that feel and that vibe and that era, we love to have the music and the clothes to look like we're back in that time right now. But do we really want 5 Black sitcoms be the top 5 shows on TV? No, they don't.
Not again.
Fresh Prince Matters, Living Single Again. They do not. We've had the opportunity to have plenty of Black sitcoms hit the heights of 2.5 Men and all of these other shows. So I'm like, who is watching these shows? Sorry. I'm getting too deep into it. Because I'm like, who is watching this?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Like for 16 seasons. What is Modern Family on? They're like 18 seasons or something like that.
Yeah. And those shows stretch for miles and miles. I was actually really shocked that the reboot of Full House had lasted as long as it has.
No Black characters.
Right.
Boy Meets World. I only knew one person, was Sean's girlfriend.
They brought Angela back for like an episode.
She wasn't back for the reunion.
I remember. Gary,
you guys' audio kind of went down a little bit. I'm not quite sure.
Oh no.
If I can still hear you, but for some reason it's like a little low. Just
maybe. Okay, hold on. Let's try it now. Say something.
It's better.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I read an interview of you in Carved in Stone, and you were talking about some of your acting experiences. And this one says, as Greg grew into an adult, he noticed he was being typecast into certain roles. To avoid playing the same roles over and over, he started denying the roles and considers his first adult role to be Brandon in the movie Noah's Ark Jumping the Broom. Now, this is a queer Black podcast, so obviously we have been super excited to talk about Noah's Ark. First of all, hopefully everybody who's listening has watched either Noah's Ark, the show, or the film, which Gary is in. It was truly like the godsend for me as a kid. I remember being in my dad's home like late at night, and like switching back and forth from like cartoons because it was on at night, and I would go to Logo and just watch it, and then switch to have it on like the last button was on a cartoon show or something. Right. So it didn't know. So seeing you represented in that film was really, really dope for me. But I also have a lot of questions about it. So I'm assuming that you built a relationship with Patrick Ian Polk from that, or did you know him prior to that project?
I did not know him prior. I auditioned for the role in Jumping the Broom, much like every other role. Went and auditioned. I got a callback, and that's when I met Patrick. The first time I auditioned, it was just the casting director in the room. So the second time I went back and I met him, first thing I know is he's very tall. Just like he's huge, and he's just very nice, very sweet and endearing person. And so we hit it off right off the bat in the audition, and he just let me know, just be comfortable and all of that, and just really set the tone for me to have a great audition. And I knocked it out the park, thankfully. And from there, that's when we started our relationship. And so it's been great to know him through the years, and I was able to work with him again after Noah's Ark Blackbird. So
Yes.
Yeah, so I was gonna say both of those movies have really made you like a friend to the LGBTQ plus community. But I also noticed that they've caused some confusion there for you. And this happens for anybody who is like ever in, a gay Black movie. I mean, look, we're not represented very often, so when
They're like, wait, is this person? What is this real? Is this not acting?
right, like, wait a minute. So I know they've slid in and out of your DMs.
Yes.
Has this caused any sort of interruption in your career? Has your career been affected in any way other than what you wanted it to?
Yes, that is yes. In a negative way, you could take it that way. For me, I don't. I'll kind of tell what happened at the time. I won't reveal who I was currently signed to, but at the time I booked Blackbird, I was signed to a fairly large agent out here in LA. And I had already done Noah's Ark, obviously. And once Patrick more or less offered me the role of Ephraim, and he was saying, I really think you should, take this role. And I didn't hesitate. Called my agent and I say, hey, I didn't really even audition. I know you guys didn't send me out for this or anything, but Patrick is from, Noah's Ark, and he offered me this, and I'm gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not for it. This particular agent in LA, went on a whole tirade about how I should be weary of taking too many gay roles, and how I could be typecast as gay, and all this, pretty homophobic, stuff. And it was then that I decided that wasn't my agent anymore. And so I left them. I basically, they kind of more or less gave like an ultimatum. They were like, if you take this role, we don't know if we can represent you. And it was,
wow.
and to me, that was even more of a telling thing of like who they were as people, where it's like, you're willing to sort of play around. That's playing games. This is business. This is people's lives, careers.
Yeah.
And you're throwing in, an ultimatum decision as if I was asking you about coffee or tea. And so it was really a calling card at that time. To see the animosity that's even just underlying, and a lot of times they don't even know they have this sort of underlying weird hatred and or distaste for this community. And it's like, wow, you really just have it so much in your craw that you can't stand this stuff, that you're just willing to drop one of your clients because they decided to take this role. And then in the same breath, they're bashing the fact that it's not a big project.
Yeah.
And saying that you want to do this, and it's not even, going to go anywhere. They're saying stuff like this, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not going to go anywhere, then let me do it. Why? If it's not going to be seen by anybody, supposedly, and you're so worried about me being typecast, then let me do it. If nobody's going to see
Monique in that.
yeah, exactly. And it just showed me that people will talk about being an ally and talk about how they want LGBTQ clients and how they want to promote positivity in the community. And when it comes down to it, and it's touching their pockets, you will really see who is for the community and who isn't. And that day is when I really learned that. So I was just like, well, I'm not going to be associated with someone who's going to do that. From that point on, I left it. So that is definitely a negative aspect. So I honestly haven't been theatrically represented since Blackbird.
Wow.
So everything that
Wow.
everything that you've seen me do on camera since Blackbird has been purely off of offers. And so I just was at a point where, being with this agent for so long and trusting them and seeing that happen, I was so jaded. I was like, do I even want to, go and do the whole interview agents thing right now? I was just so turned off, you know what I mean? And luckily my other agent who I'm represented for voiceover and commercials was not like that. And, it was one of those things where it was like, wow, I was able to see the duality of Hollywood, at that point. And
do you think this happens for Black actors, Black male actors more often? Because I've heard a lot of Black male actors say that they've been told those same things, that they should not take on gay roles because they're going to be boxed into them, or that there will be assumptions made about who they are because of them. And I know that that was a thing for all male actors at some point, like the 90s, but I'm still only hearing it now from Black male actors.
I think about Will Smith too. He played, I forgot what, 6 degrees
Six Degrees-
separation.
Six
Yeah,
Degrees
like he was like very hesitant to like do a lot of things in that movie because he didn't want to be typecasted.
Well, you guys answered your own question right there, and the key word in that was Black.
Yeah.
Word. And so when you have that, and what are always our images? Our images of Black men are always look at the movie Us.
Yep.
Jordan Peele said it perfectly. We are seen as the athletic body, the used symbol of strength, and that's all we are to Hollywood, to the world, period. And so how dare we show that, femininity, or how dare we show that side of us that screams that, oh, you are not quote unquote a man. And so Black actors who are going to those roles definitely face that, because they're told more often than white actors, oh no, you shouldn't take this role because it's going to hurt your career if you're not seen as strong. The moment a Black man is not seen as strong, then he's never can be that. So you look at people who have shown that side of themselves. You look at, I always use the example of Donald Glover. Donald Glover will now never be able to go back into acting, to doing roles that he simply just wants to do. He is now going to have to be Donald Glover in almost every role, because once you have presented yourself as that, and now you're accepted, now you're accepted as that, and so it's too late now, and so he has that sort of, we got to stick you in that socket, or nothing else at all. And so for Black men, it's so cut and dry. It's like, we got to be that or this, and there is no fluidity, because fluidity, as we know, equals power. And so when it comes to that, we can't move. And it's also like that for Black women. You don't see when you see a lesbian, she is white. and how many times have we seen a Black lesbian in a or a Black gay woman in a film or television show where she looks a certain way? You've seen them across the rainbow when it comes to, if they're any other race, they can dress butch, they can dress feminine, they can be, in different careers. But if it's Black, then there's only like two ways. It's like, she's either got to look like Wanda Sykes and Queen Latifah, or she's got to look like, Lori Harvey. And it's like, oh my gosh, she's gay, really? And it's and it's tired. We are tired, and so I that's my stance on it.
Well, by that method, I guess all people need is someone to take a chance on them, even when they've been typecast. And I know that there have been, things where someone had white actors that have been typecast, and then someone was like, got this film to, stretch out your ability. And then the next thing you know, it's like, okay, cool, I've been broke through, the glass ceiling here. So I guess that speaks to Black creators creating more stories. And actually, I have a question in that note, but I did have one before we moved on. And I saw you tweeting about being an ally and about your experiences working with Daryl Stevens. Or is it Steffens or Stevens?
I think it's
Steffens, Daryl Steffens and Patrick Ian Paul. And you said that they challenged some of what you know. So I'm curious, what are some of the things you learned from working with them, or some of the things you had to unlearn about the LGBTQ community?
Oh wow! I mean, I was fresh in college, when I booked Noah's Ark Jump in the Broom. So you can imagine, especially me coming from Chicago, where on the South Side, especially in the area that I'm at, that is not accepted. The community is not accepted in any way. Had I grown up in LA, it probably would have been different. But where I grew up, it was just not a thing. Never
Mhm.
was. Still isn't. And so coming out here and being part of that and going to school, I was the quintessential male who completely didn't understand and conform to how all the media was putting it, at the time, because even media at the time was so okay with. I mean, when I look at projects, having HBO Max and Disney Plus have all these old shows come back, it's so jarring. It's so great, but it's so jarring to see what we really put up with, not only in I mean, it's black people and LGBTQ community. I'm just like, whoa, like we will.
The bar was low. It was in hell.
Man, and I'm sitting here and it's like, I mean, I was just watching something the other. It was I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Mhm.
And while the movie has a great message, there was some very choice dialogue in there, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, the fact that this movie is literally in favor of the community. I won't say for the community. It's in favor of the community, and yet it still was so tone deaf in some parts. Tells you so much about how much work that I needed to do. Like, you know what I mean? But as a young man, and so when I auditioned for it, I wasn't completely off the deep end. It was just one of those things like, wow, if I get this, I might be a little uncomfortable. I
Understandable.
right, exactly. I was one of those people who I never had derogatory things leave my mouth, but it was always one of those things that I stayed away from. And I
Mhm.
always had that sort of wall up where I saw it as a different kind of love than my love, as a straight male.
Mhm.
And once I booked Noah's Ark, we had like 2 weeks of rehearsals. So it was really cool. And we were also in Nova Scotia, which is a little island off the coast. It's in Canada.
Mhm.
And beautiful place. And I mean, it's just one of those secluded area type places where you can go and just be away from everything. And I think that really helped a lot because we didn't really have a lot of phone service and stuff like that. So I was really, 2 weeks in with these men who were straight men in gay. And these were men who were in the trenches together. These guys had already filmed seasons of this show, and these straight men had been with these gay men and had these conversations, these very real conversations already. And me being the one and only new person coming in, to be able to have these talks, not only from gay men in the community, who
Mhm.
I expect to have those conversations with, but also have straight men come to me and say, listen, I was just like you, and to have those very real moments. And like I said, those conversations that I had with Daryl, with Patrick, Jensen, all the guys. And I don't know if there's anything specific I would say that I had to unlearn, but like I said, that wall that I had up of, I think that probably the specific thing, that wall that I had up is seeing it different. And I think that causes a lot of the phobia in a lot of straight males' lives, where they have this notion. I've talked to a lot of people, and sometimes you think that, oh man, you're just ignorant, and you just don't know. And when I talk to them and see what the root of it is, a lot of them are just, they see it different.
Mhm.
And what I had to do was see it not different. It's just not different. Once you really realize and you sit there and you go, just because everybody says love is love and throws it around very cliche, but that was the time where I really learned that, and talking to Daryl and having him tell me about how he had straight experiences, through college, and then, learning men, and him explaining learning men was so reminiscent of me at that college age. And again, mind you, college. So I'm deep in my braggadocio. I gotta tell every guy that I know about this. Da, 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 da. And you know, and that goes for also when I like a woman. So when I like a woman, I know how I describe her as a straight male, and to see Derek describe one of his first experiences with a man, and I looked at that and I'm like, he like he loved that guy. Like that was like something that was really real. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's how I talk about women. Like what, you know, and I'm looking and it seems so stupid and it seems so trivial. But in the moment for me, that was such a huge thing to be like, why am I seeing this as so different? Why do I have these walls up to where I feel like this is something that's you and then here's me? You know what I mean?
Your fault. That's how people are taught. That's how we've
Right,
been represented as well. So.
Exactly. And the biggest thing was me, you know, Daryl saying, I will never, as a gay man, come to your straight relationship or view your straight relationship and say, ooh.
Yeah.
You know, and that, like, and I think at the time we were in the makeup chair, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I feel like shit. You know, I don't know if y'all curse on here.
We do.
We do.
I was like, I feel like shit. Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think I cried in my hotel room that night. And I'm just
wow.
like, you know, when you really see like how I've just been, you know, guys that have come up to me and, you know, I've had gay fans come up to me before that point, you know, and thinking in my head, like, I thought of them differently, you know, even walking up to me and you know, they say hello, I sign their autograph, they walk away. And it's like, man, there were times where I had to say something. Like, gay, why? You know, and that hit me like a sack. Like, and so from that day, I was just like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that to another person, because if I had that happen to me in my little straight relationship where it's like seen all the time and everything's so accepted. And that's what I always, you know, had once after that happened and me like pleading to my friends, you know, that was a eye-opening thing too, you know, when you change and then you say, this is so uncomfortable for me that I can no longer be around people that won't accept this change. You know? And so it was deep enough for that to happen. And so like looking at that, having those kind of conversations is really eye-opening for yourself, because you're like, man, like all the stuff that I looked at as like so different it's all the same. It's so the same. And it's like to have the community's representation be taken away in a sense where, you know, I had actually checked a buddy of mine years ago, because he had came to me and he was like, I had written a pilot, and in the pilot I have a character who is part of the community, and the guy who was reading it, he's like, yeah, man, you know, this is great, you know, I'm just like, you know, does this person have to be gay though? And I was like, what you mean have to be gay? And he was like, yeah, you know, I just think that, you know, it could work either way. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, hold on. I was like, I got you. And the next, I went, I took the draft back the next day, changed all the characters to gay. And then, you know, I was like, do we have to have straight characters? You know,
we've already done it.
You know, or is this something that can happen? He's like, wait, like, so like now it's like a gay show?
Oh man.
I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know. I was like, how many shows that you watch are straight shows? I was like, how many gay shows do you watch actually?
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? I was like, exactly. What do you mean by gay show? You know, because there's an abundance of gay care. Why do we think this way? And so for me, it's just the last couple of years I've really been trying to, as a creator, you know, I hate to say make this a norm. You know, and I hate to say that I am taking part in trying to do that, because it shouldn't be. You know, I shouldn't have to. You know, I shouldn't have to write characters in hopes that people see this as a normalcy, and say that stop seeing this as a token character, or stop seeing this as your comedic relief, or stop this as your best friend. You know, I was like, why haven't, you know, we talk about how we haven't seen races
exactly
in particular roles. Why haven't we seen gay people
in these roles? Why haven't we seen LGBTQ community represented across all careers and everything? Why is it that Will and Grace was one example for the last 15 years of some sort of normalcy in this community? Why has that been the only thing that we have seen where it's like, wow, it's just life. It's not gay life. It's just life. And it's like, why have we only been able to see that in Noah's Ark and Blackbird? Like, what is the deal?
And it was normal
know,
in those shows. Like,
and it was not right. And to me, I also dislike the fact that Hollywood has to have a staple of the LGBTQ community be in the show in order for that show to be a thing.
Yeah.
I love Pose. I love it.
Ooh.
Brilliant. It is brilliant. But I'm so sick and tired of us having to talk about the drag scene or have to talk about this in order for us to have represented characters on a show that works. This is a part of the community, yes. But what happened to just existing? What happened to just going through life? I want to see those things, but I want to see the other things too.
Yeah.
You know, just as we talk about the Black community, oh, we want to be in space and we want to do this and we want to do that. That goes across the board for so many things. So many people have not seen their representation as far as, I just want to go to a movie and just watch a rom-com with just people who represent me. You know what I mean? That's it. You know, and so that's all I can hope for what I do moving forward as an actor, as a creator, and I implore other people to do the same. I just really feel that it can't happen anymore where we just shun out people because we don't understand, and we. Sorry that I'm long-winded on this answer, by the way, but by the fact that we have writers and directors and producers who are not in the community.
Yeah, exactly, though. That's it.
We
got to tell our own stories. You're not going to have an informed perspective if you've not been a part of or intimately, witnessed this community. And I think it's evident. Like I used to say, I used to watch things from the early 2000s and the 90s that represented Black people, and it always felt empty, like there was something lacking. And that's what Black looks like on the outside looking in. But when I see something that's made by Black people, it feels Black. And that's the same thing about LGBTQ productions.
Like, I appreciate Ron Murphy for, being a part of the community, but and he also brought in consultants from Paris is Burning and things like that to be a part of Pose. But I still feel like there was some things that I wanted from the show if it would be a little bit more authentic, but it's good.
And we talk about authenticity in Hollywood as if they're synonymous.
No, they're not.
But when it comes to that, that's all you can hope for. As if you're part of the community, I'm a big nerd, I'm a big geek. So when it comes to Marvel movies, I'm one of those people where I'm like, I'm tearing my hair out every release. So on a smaller scale, I understand that, and it's just nobody can fault you guys for wanting to have your stories told by people who are in your community and people who understand your community. And I just don't understand why people have to meddle in it and have to have so much to say about it while not being in the community. Right, exactly. Yeah. And it is what it is.
Well, I'm excited for Rona Chronicles. I am excited for Rona Chronicles because I know who is coming. What am I getting myself into?
So, we did our Googles, Gary. We did our research. I did my research on you.
Bring out the receipts.
Looked you up. So we know that you've got your production company, Gray Skies Entertainment. And correct me if I'm wrong, is this true that you've got a project in the making with Miguel A. Nunez Jr.? Is that accurate?
Wow, where did that come
It's on
He's phenomenal.
Web.
First of all,
on the web.
Love him, but that information is accessible on the World Wide Web.
You gotta do your dirt.
I saw it. It's an untitled project.
Listen, it's so funny. We try to keep all this stuff under wraps, but it's gonna come out. But yes, I do. I am working on something. I can't talk about it it's. But yes, I do have a production company, Gray Skies Entertainment. It's very loose. I never thought of being a producer, ever, 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 ever. I've always been more akin to being an actor, writer, maybe director,
every now and then, but producing was always something that I'm like, no, we'll leave it to the professionals. You know, that's a completely different side of the set that I just had never touched, never, I wouldn't say never thought about, but it was just something that I was like, that's just not for me. That's not my lane, you know, leave it up to the other people. But a friend of mine, Raven Kelly, who I'm working on many projects with her production company, she approached me years and years ago about a project, and we entered into a partnership. And through her, and I've always, you know, known Miguel, and we've always seen each other at events through the years as a kid, me coming up, especially once you do Black sitcoms in a way, it's like all the family. Once you do an event, it's like they all call everybody from every Black sitcom so each other. So you know, through the years, I've always ran into him, and so it's really cool to have him be on an executive side, and him working with some studios and being able to participate in a project in this way. You know, we've been actors in front of the camera, you know, working together, but now to be behind and have our hands in creating something together as Black creators is really cool. And just what do you call it? It's like that the circle. It's like, you know, it's come full circle. So that is really awesome. With Gray Skies, though, I'm a pre-production focused firm, so I love to take people's ideas. You know, the idea that you never could put to paper, don't know how to really tell people, can't get the point across. You know, you tell me whatever you can, and we form it, we shape it, make it pitchable, and hopefully make it something that you can sell. You know, that's my expertise. You know, we can also do everything after taking the production, you know, obviously to set. Yeah, my focus and my strength is pre-production services. Like I am a conceptualizer. You know, I will sit here and brainstorm all day if you let me. So, you know, when people bring me ideas, it's takes off from there. So, yeah, I love it. It's been such a rewarding experience because having people bring me ideas and saying like, listen, I know it's good. I just don't know how to, you know, get it across and working this stuff out with people and it actually coming to fruition. You know, we've got some things that have been looked at and optioned and everything. And so it's really cool to be like, man, like this random person, this stranger trusted me enough with this idea and I was able to bring it from 0 to 100. And so, yeah, I'm really thankful for everything that's coming out of Gray Skies. Right now, we have a slate that you might see a project before the end of the year.
Okay.
In quarantine.
Yes.
So, you know, right, gotta work, right? So I'm heavy at work with 2 production companies right now that are helping me out do something in quarantine, do something really nice. So I'm hoping that'll be before the end of the year. If not, my previously announced spoken word album that I'm doing, Gray Skies, my production company, will be handling the videos for that because I will be doing a visual album as well to that. So you will see that for sure before the end of the year. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying just telling stories and just being creative with people who never thought they could get those kind of ideas out. So
I love that you're doing that work. I think that's really important. So shout out to you for that.
thank you.
Did you have a question, Devery?
No, you go ahead.
Well, yeah, because I wanted to know, tell us how anybody listening can get involved with, because I'm sure there are a lot of brilliant minds who are just like not sure of a project or not sure how to get one off the ground. So how do they get involved with Gray Skies?
Yeah, definitely. We are actually working on the website right now. So I'm working on website team. We just did the business plans and everything. So once that all goes up, you'll be able to contact me through there. However, until then, hit me on my social medias. From there, I'm being way more open in checking. I'm literally checking DMs every day, trying to go through them. People. So hit me on Twitter or Instagram. That's at Gary L. Gray, GaryLGray, not E. And hit me and let me know what you guys have. We'll, you know, exchange emails. I'm very, you know, professional. I do everything by the book. So there will be NDAs signed, you know, when it comes to that. Make sure, you know, you're protected. So anybody who's like a little weary, they're like, I have an idea, but he's an actor. I don't know if, you know, people still ideas. Trust me, I get all that paperwork and all that stuff out the way so that you know you're protected. You know, take me to court.
Take me to court.
I know myself enough to where I'm like, I can say that with full confidence and know that it will happen. So it's like, I will cover you because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of that. You know, I know I've been a high school student trying to get my scripts read. You know what I mean? So I completely know how it feels to be in those shoes. So I'm not gonna do that to y'all.
Ray, you are a friend to the people.
Yes.
I try. Y'all are friends of me. So, you know, I wouldn't be able to have a 30-year career had I not been able to put some good stuff out in the world and have that stuff come back. So I appreciate y'all and just having the longevity.
Don't you ever casually 30 years?
30
Damn!
years. You've been doing
This
this.
man's career is just over 3 decades.
And in October, I booked Cosby Show in October when I was 3 years old, and I'm 33, and October is around the corner. So once October hits, it will be 30 years on the dot. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're wrapping up, but I wanted to let you know that I saw Retrospect. I thought it was great. I thought you gave a really moving performance in that, actually. And there's 2 things I wanted to ask. Firstly, if I'm not mistaken, the man that played opposite of you, Brian Hurst, was...
Hearn.
Is it her?
Hearn.
Hearn. He was in Hardball.
Yes.
My sister and I watched that movie a lot when we were little. And I was like, I know that face.
He's the one with the headband. And he goes,
Yes!
like,
He was my favorite freaking character in that film. So you know what, guys, go and watch Hardball, and then go watch Retrospect.
And hold on, before you go into the next point that you were gonna say,
yes.
I have another point about Hardball. Yes, Brian Hearn, one of my really good friends, he was in Retrospect with me. He played in Hardball, but my best friend and roommate is the person who played Kofi in Hardball, Mike Perkins. So literally, that's like my man. Yeah, and so yeah, it's funny that you brought up Hardball because I'm so linked to Hardball, and I also used to be roommates with Chris Lofton, who plays Kassan Teague on Ballers, who was also in Hardball.
Just a family.
Yeah.
Just a family over there.
Right. I just knew all the Hardball dudes, you know. But yeah, that's very funny that you brought that up. But yeah, that's my boy Brian, and he was a great co-star for me in that film for sure.
So I wanted to know what the process was, because that was some heavy material in that film. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, I really recommend that you go. I think I watched it on YouTube, and I think it was also available on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, so
Get closer to the mic.
Amazon, Vimeo, and YouTube. I believe those 3 services. And yeah, the process was great. At the time, I knew the director and creator of the project Retrospect, so they approached me directly, and you know, I have this role, and I think you'd be great. And I read the script, and I was, you know, I love stories like that. I love featuring Black people in stories like that, where you are almost always going to see a white face, and to have sci-fi and to have that happen. It was just I loved it, and I loved the endearing, you know, touching story, because it was just one of those things where you read it and it was just like, wow, like. And to be a short film, even, you know, was really great. So after reading it, I was gung ho. I was like, I was all for it. It wasn't much of a process. I was like, I'm ready. Let's do it. But it was heavy, and I did kind of go there for that role. Like I
did.
Yeah. So yeah, I like hair and everything. I was, I believe I was smoking at the time to sort of up my anxiety.
Oh, wow.
So that it can come out and read more on screen. So yeah, it was, I wish that could have been a feature. I wish that I could have sunk my teeth into that, but there will be opportunities coming. You will see some things that are closer to that for sure. But yeah, I loved that project. I always tell people to go watch it, because it's such a cool little 15 minutes. You know, it's like such a nice little morsel of filmmaking, and I absolutely love short films for that reason, where you can kind of get that nice little piece where you're just like, wow. That was
good.
Oh, I need you to send me the link.
Girl, the ending was satisfactory for me. I thought it was great.
And it provided me one of the best April Fool's jokes I've ever done in my life. I'm an April Fool's jokes king, by the way. And it was one of the best ones because I had a screen cap of me proposing to that girl in the film. and I used it to make people think I had actually proposed to someone. And man, that was a good one. But yeah, that was a good year. Yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, seriously, and being and supporting. Like, people like me, working actors, we have that sort of stipulation on us where everybody always is that one guy, we're that face that people always look at and recognize maybe, but just don't know, or people haven't sort of gotten clued into who you are as a person. So people who take the time to seek out working actors and have them on podcasts like this, and have people to where, anyone who has been wanting to get to know someone, of my stature, where it's like, I feel like this person is accessible, and I just haven't had the wherewithal or the opportunity to get to know this person. We thank you. People like you keep working actors like us, in the know and relevant, and we love supporting things like this as well, because more often than not, we are doing endeavors like this. I have a podcast, so of course, you're like, I have a podcast with you.
Tell us the name, please.
Like, what? So
let the people know the name of your podcast too, please.
Oh yeah, so me and the guy who played Kofi, Mike Perkins, me and Ball, as he's affectionately known. Me and Hardball have a podcast called Live from the Couch, and we do it from our couch, yes. And we have another host as well. Her name is Candace Joy, and so it's the three of us, and we talk about like culture, life, love, everything in between, entertainment, and we always pride ourselves because our saying is, once it hits the couch, no holds barred. It's like everything is on the couch, So it's one of those can get very raunchy ways. Podcast. So everything you say, yes, exactly. We have talked about everything under the sun on that thing. So it's great. We have a lot of fun. We're on hiatus right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just had our season end, so we're gearing up for our new one, and we are very excited. We plan to have a lot of guests. Hopefully, if COVID stops happening, like we were so ready for our last season to be, guests and everything, and when the pandemic hit, it threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things. Luckily, since we record at home, it was fine. We were still able to have episodes, but we had to alter some things. We had a plan to have some, sort of man on the street type episodes and stuff like that we weren't able to do. But hopefully next season we'll be able to deliver that for everybody. And I will, of course, be a part, and wild and zany as I always am. So I got the most annoying member of the podcast. We had a poll, and it was like, who annoys y'all the most? And I was overwhelmingly chosen. And I don't know if it was like my friends like joking, but like I was like, well, see, I guess I'm like the Joe Budden of the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not Joe Budden like at all. Like I'm definitely not, like especially not as far as views on the podcast. Yeah. But I guess in a sense of who people like, I guess I'm the Joe Budden. So it's whatever. It's just because I don't care. It's just because I don't care. Yeah. I don't care about it. I just say anything, so it's whatever.
Did you say you was Devin?
I said he might be me.
Oh.
That's me.
Yeah. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Definitely. Yeah.
But before we close out, I have two questions. The first one is, what in the end, what is like your dream role? Like if you can manifest that.
Yes.
Ooh. It's a two-part question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The first part of that is any villain.
Yes. Sorry.
We love a villain.
Right. No, you're fine. I'm so tired of playing the good guy or the nice guy or the best friend. And it's like, I know I have that look, guys, but trust me, I can go there. Just trust me. But yeah, I really want to play a villainous character. Ephraim touched on it. He was very, you got to watch Blackbird.
Yep.
He touched on it. He was very mischievous. He wasn't villainous. He was mischievous. And so I loved playing that role because it touched on that sort of mode that I wanted to get into. And so I want to have somebody take me all the way over, though. I want to completely cross over play villain, which I have the opportunity to do that. Actually, I'm going to break some news low key on your podcast.
Yes! Breaking news.
So I'm trying to get this done. I've been trying to get this done for months and months and months, and it's obviously extended because of COVID. But before then, I had been working for about 6 months on a passion project where I'm trying to reboot or have a short film reboot of Low Down Dirty Shame.
Oh, what?
If you guys have ever seen it, it's a Kid and I
Yes.
Rose project. I just absolutely love that movie. And I love that it came at a time where, especially the Wayans were always pushing Black voices and Black projects forward. And to have a project where it's like, you know, it doesn't talk about being Black at all, but it's so very Black. You know what I mean?
I love
And,
Peaches.
exactly. And exactly. And so I am working on that. And I wrote a role for myself in it. And I'm playing a villain. So screw y'all.
I did it myself. If y'all won't give it to me, I'm
the
gonna do it.
role in the first place. I'm gonna do it. So yeah.
Yes.
I play the villain in that project, and I have been really trying to get in touch. So who knows who's listening to this, but I've been really trying to get in touch with the Wayans peoples, and I would love Keenan's blessing or whoever's blessing for this project, because I really, really, really want to do it and do it right. I'm changing, a couple of things about the story, obviously to make it a little bit more modernized and everything, but I really want to have a project that is something that they can be proud of, and I plan to do about a 30 to 40 minute, I want to do a real short film, for this. So, yeah, I'm just hard at work with that. So I'm going to play a villain. So that's part one. Part two is I've actually already played this role. But I want to play it again because the first time I did it in a short film, and it was I wasn't able to again really sink my teeth into it. But Langston Hughes, I really, really want to play Langston Hughes in a project. I love poetry so very much, and I was brought up on his poetry, and so I think just that the writer in me would really enjoy being able to dive into the mind of one of the most prolific Black writers of all time, and really have that role sort of seep into me to where I can finally mesh. Actors, we're always becoming someone else. We're always finding ourselves in other people. And usually what we're doing is we're chasing the role that we can mesh together the most fluidly. And usually that's the one that people win their awards for.
Yeah.
The time where you found that marriage where I didn't know I had this in me, or I'm calling upon that repressed memory that I said that I would never talk about, or that assault that I never thought I would, bring up again, but I'm there for this, I feel like that's what people chase. And so, yeah, I think that role would be it for me. It would be one of those things that I'd probably retire off of because I'd be fulfilled. I'm fulfilled now. I've done everything in my career that I could ever possibly think of doing.
Yeah.
And I would be more than happy to, do it. And the only thing that keeps me going is my carnal need to be in this industry and my passion for acting. But as far as roles and what I've achieved, I always say I can hang it up. I've done way more than I could have ever expected, but that role will be something that, that would be the ultimate fulfillment. Sure.
That's good.
I love that.
And then last, we know you listen to Chloe and Halle a lot. So
yes.
Off of Ungodly Hour, what are your favorite tracks? Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you gotta pick. You absolutely got to pick.
Hey.
Give us your top three.
Can I pick like a sequence? Honestly, the 3 tracks, like from Do It, and then like literally that 3 and I'm trying to blank the names. It's Do It, and then it's what? Tipsy, right. That, I don't know who does their sequencing, but like, man, when I tell you that ride from Do It, like boom, like 4 songs down, you can do anything in your house to those 4. Anything.
You should. Yeah.
I will challenge anybody to do that. You can clean, you can cook, you can rearrange furniture, you can watch TV. I've written to those 3 songs, dead ass. So like, yeah,
those like Do It, Tipsy, and then I'm blanking because y'all put me on the spot.
Ungodly Hour.
Ungodly Hour. Yes. Oh,
That's
yes.
my number one right there. I'm
Chronically,
a Ungodly Hour stan.
Ungodly Hour. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not even gonna lie. I was definitely high the first time I listened to Ungodly Hour. So like, yeah, really, when you really sit and just, I appreciate them for really taking the time to make sure their musicality, and a lot of artists, like that's the thing that they're forgetting these days. It's like, I got great ad libs, I got great lyrics, the hooks are on, the production's great, but my musicality's so trash.
Yep.
I put ad libs in places they shouldn't be, and all this stuff. Man, when you really listen to them, and honestly, I haven't really felt like I've had someone that I've said this about, and this is gonna seem really corny, but I don't think I've said this about someone since Beyonce.
Oh, we love that.
Right.
Boom.
You know, and it's like when you're listening to an album and sonically, it's just doing things and taking you places where you're just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like the first time I listened to Beyonce, like not Beyonce the person, but Beyonce the album. And you know, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, I'm going through songs and I'm like, what is in her brain? You know, what is in their brains when you're listening to these songs? And like I said, that sequencing is great. So yes, those are my favorite. But probably if I had to choose one, it'd probably be Ungodly.
It's so great. It's literally the best song on the album. Oh my God.
It's really good. And I think that's why I like that sequencing, because it like ends on that. And like, oh, it's perfect. It's so good. So yes, y'all. They retweeted my tweet, so I was so happy. I was like, yes, I love y'all.
Nobody's doing it like Parkwood Entertainment. That's just that's on God.
Listen, I don't know. Here's the thing. Parkwood's great. But what you call it? It's Ray. She's about to come.
Coming.
And,
oh yes!
You know,
oh my God! You're right.
When you listen to how those Insecure sound, sonically, I don't know. Issa might have some up her sleeve. She might be ready to go toe to toe. Miss Music exec. That hat for Issa might be better than any hat we've seen thus far, and that's why I'm like warning people. I'm like, don't sleep, because she announced that and people was like, oh, that's cute, you know, oh, that's cool, you know. But I'm like, I don't know.
I knew she had it.
Yeah, and think of the connections that she has already, and to put her label in a position to succeed. All of her, think about the independent artists that, I have to worry about signing stuff with this, you know, this person that's my manager's got to work 24/7 to get me out, and you know all this, and you're signing with Issa Rae, who is like, oh, you need a feature with who? Oh, I got that. You know, it's like, okay, cool, you know. So I'm all for it. I can't come out of her camp for real.
Oh man, I remember the first time I heard a soundtrack from that show, and just like some of my favorite songs were on it. And I knew she had something then. She appreciates really good music.
Sonically, and again, that's sequencing, and that is again musicality, you know, and that's somebody you can't teach that. That's just I know how I want people to feel when listening to these sounds, and there's very, very few people that can do that. You know, you look at the great producers of the world, and you realize those names, and then you look at, you know, what they're doing with these soundtracks, and what Chloe and them, like, what? So you're like, how are y'all to these guys level? You look at or these even women, you know, who are producing these timeless tracks. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, now you look at it, man, I love that young Black creators are getting into these timeless footholds. Yeah. And we can't help but to open these doors now. We can't help but to hear these voices beat down our door anymore, because they are here, they are coming, and they're very, very good, and they're better than us. So, you know, it's like, now I can't wait to see this new generation that's coming out, for real.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, unfortunately, this is the end of this episode. I want to thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to come and talk with us, and for offering some great insight. And I'm really, really excited to see what Gray Skies Entertainment has in the making for us, and any other projects that you'll be working on. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, just keep it locked here for everything, and please, guys, continue to listen to this podcast, because everybody that is doing something positive right now, getting voices out, Getting out information has to be supported. We can't make it through this, and I mean not only the social unrest, but also the pandemic. We can't make it through this without these type of things, without Black creators constantly providing safe spaces. It is as simple as that, even just as simple as that. Just safe space to listen to hear yourself represented. So I appreciate you guys for doing what you're doing, and thank you for having me on. For sure, and I can't wait. I can't like maybe when the poetry album drops or when the project drops, we do something exclusively on here. I can do or something on here.
We're gonna speak that. Thank you.
Yes.
Devery.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he leaves us out.
So, thank you for being a part of this episode. Can you give us the social media links or things that you want people to follow you on at the end?
Right. Let's do Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Everything is the same. It's at Gary L. Gray. So GaryLgray. And yeah, like I said, I run all my accounts. Don't contact me on Facebook because Facebook is so overwhelming and I can't do it. But yeah, Instagram, Twitter, hit me up. Like I said, if I don't see you right away, don't feel bad sending a second message, checking in. Hey, I saw this. As long as it's respectful, don't hound me and be like, hey man. I'm living life too. Trust me, I will get to you. But I respond to everything. So shoot me a message on socials. When it comes to Gray Skies and everything, like I said, the website will be coming very soon, pretty soon. So we're reached out, and that will be Gray Skies, either grayskiesent.com or grayskiesentertainment.com. I have both domains. I just haven't decided which one I want to choose.
Yeah.
So, but that will be where it's at. And also my art website will be launching, and that will be probably glg.com. So you'll be able to go and purchase art and everything on the site. We'll have links for you, and that'll also house my clothing endeavors with Rare Wear as we move forward in our new season dropping probably in the fall. I'm also doing masks soon, so that is the first time anyone is hearing that, so that is definitely new news right there. I'm doing masks from my last designs of my clothes drop, so you'll see those old designs come back, maybe some new ones, and I'm trying to keep it safe and protected out here.
You said glg.com?
Yes, it'll probably be glg.com. Both websites are being done as we speak. The art will probably be glg.com, and then the entertainment, Gray Skies Entertainment will probably be Gray Skies Entertainment or grayskiesent.com.
Got you. And then if you all want to follow us on our social medias, you can hit me up on my Instagram and Twitter at _Lord Every. Lord Devery, that is _LORDEVERY.
You guys know I'm complicated, so you can follow me on Instagram at Derwin King, DERWINKING, and on Twitter at Free Negro, that's FREENEGREAUX.
And if you would love to continue the conversation,
me all day.
Just words. And if you would love to continue the conversation on our podcast socials, you can follow us at That Black Boy Joy on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to hit us up on our Gmail to be a part of the show, you can hit us up at thatblackboyjoypodcast@gmail.com. And without further ado, stay best and black.